Kempire is brought to you by. We are so excited to announce that the Kempire After Dark, a live tour, is coming back. We are first returning to Los Angeles on November 20th at the Bourbon Room. And then we will be in London. Yes, the first international date of the Kempire After Dark live experience is coming to London, of course, because this is where it all began at our first meet and greet. On December 8th, we will be at Neon 194. This live show is presented by our friends over at AEG. So if you haven't gotten your tickets already, what are you waiting for? December is right around the corner. Every Kempire After Dark live experience is so different than the other. So make a trip, or if you live in London, come to the Kempire After Dark live experience. And just announce, Washington, D.C., we're coming back. We're coming back. Yes, we're coming back to Union Stage, Washington, D.C. Come out. Get your tickets are now available. Let's sell out all 3 shows for 2024 and the early part of 2025. We'll be in D.C. on January 24th. More information on all tour dates will be available in the description. I'll see you guys soon. You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. There we go. Muted. All right. Now, before you guys start saying it. Hello. So, I literally had to watch Real Housewives of New York City again. Then I had to watch Real Housewives of Salt Lake City again. Then I had to watch What Happens Live. Then I had to watch the after show. I had a lot of things to watch this morning. But here we are. Okay. We're going to get into our Real Housewives of New York City and Salt Lake City recap for those that have been missing out on the New York City recap. We've been combining it with Salt Lake City because it really is just not that good. And honestly, based off of these last few episodes, it's still not getting any better. So we're going to talk briefly about Real Housewives of New York City, and we're going to talk mostly about Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, okay? As always, I want to know how you guys would rate this week's episode of the Real Housewives of New York City and Salt Lake City. Let us know in the live chat. If you're part of the replay crew, be sure to let us know your thoughts as well. Let's get into our recap of both cities so we can just be done with it. Shout out to the part, because on behind the scenes on my setup here, my streaming setup, I can still see, on YouTube, you can't see the dislikes anymore, but I can see it here. Shout out to the hater that's watching that came into just dislike. We haven't even started yet. And you came into just the dislike. Whoa for you. Thank you for the engagement, you idiot. Oh, this is not the week. This is not the week. All of you can get it. Speaking of This Is Not the Week, we did just drop a new podcast exclusive episode. So if you want to hear my thoughts on the election results, and how we move forward, be sure to make sure you subscribe to the Kempire podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Subscribe today. And while you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. We're trying to get to 1,000 reviews on both Apple and on Spotify. So if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. Be sure to give us a rating. Okay. All right. Let me just say thank you to our friends over at Uncommon Goods. The holidays are officially here. I know some of you are saying, no, it's not. Yes, it is. Especially if you're doing online shopping, you want to give yourself enough time to get everyone's gifts. Okay. You need time, but I got you covered. We have partnered with a fantastic company that celebrates independent and small businesses. And look, they're ready for you for the holidays, and they have something for everyone, and including every price point, okay? Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and the Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful and incredible. Hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts that spark joy, wonder, delight, and it's exactly what I wanted feeling. They scour the globe for original, handmade, absolutely remarkable things. Somehow they know exactly the perfect gift for every single person you know. And I got a little something. This is like a little knick-knack. So it comes with a light stand. I don't want to blind you, okay? But it's the globe, all right? See, look at that. Isn't it cute? And I think it was like less than $50. I forgot how much it is. And you can change the setting on how bright you want it to be, if you want to keep it off. Last time I left it on and it drained the battery completely. It's rechargeable. I love it. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/Kempire. That's uncommongoods.com/Kempire for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary. More information on Uncommon Goods will be available in the description. All right. Have I vamped enough? Now, can we get now into Real Housewives of New York? No, you don't want to? Okay. No, you don't want to? Oof. All right. Let me just say this. I really, I do try to keep an open mind. I know every single week I say, oh my gosh, New York City is terrible. New York City is terrible. Honestly, and I'm not sure, Raquel, if they're just not piecing this story together properly, but I think Raquel does have a dynamic story on Real Housewives of New York, but it's just not landing. At least the way that it's produced, it's just not landing. Oh, TikTok, if you guys want to see, you can go over to YouTube and actually see. For those that are on TikTok want to see my little globe. Uncommon Goods. You can check us out on the podcast, or you can see a link on our YouTube channel as well. Okay. All right. Thank you, Cam. Cam just followed me on Apple Podcasts. Podcast. All right. But Raquel, here's the thing. I think Raquel has an interesting story. This week, she's talking about being in the art world. Her former partner, they created this whole business behind the art that really was helped promoted by their relationship. So she talked a little bit about that this week and how Mel, her girlfriend, her fiance, received a lot of backlash because some people wanted to say that Mel broke their relationship up when that really isn't how things went down. So she talks a little bit about that. And honestly, I feel like it's interesting, but the way that it's produced, I'm just sort of like, it's not landing. So Raquel also talks about her relationship with her mother. Ever since she came out to her mother and divorced her ex-husband, her mother has not been back from Puerto Rico to visit her. So they have a strained relationship. Relatable. I know a lot of gay people that can relate to that storyline. I just don't know if it's her it's not landing well. It might be you, Raquel, because I feel like you give us a little bit of your story, but it doesn't all make sense. And maybe because you can't talk about certain people, or maybe you don't want to talk about certain people. But I'm like, I feel like there's something missing. Just in the storyline, the way that it's translated doesn't really, not that it doesn't make sense. It's not connecting for me personally. You know what else is not connecting? Erin, apparently, is she really the one to bring this type of alcohol to the United States? Everybody in the comment section says no, but fine. She wants to pretend like she brought this particular liquor from Mexico to the States. Okay. Her storyline this episode is about, well, you saw at the top of the episode of Real Housewives of New York, her and Abe have a conversation about the issues that she had with Jenna. Now we're okay with Jenna. Very quickly and easily. Look, I'm not saying that's impossible, but I told you last week I didn't believe it. Only for Abe to be in my DMs. The far side of the DMs, not directly in the DMs. I see it. I'm like, who's this? Should I read it? I'll let you let me know. Well, in this week, Abe is having a conversation with Erin and says, how are things with you and Jenna? He's like, oh, everything's good with me and Jenna now. She's calling me every day, blah, blah, everything's good. We didn't believe it last week. And I told you, I believe that Abe was just doing the bidding of Erin by going up to Jenna and bringing this up. Not only for Abe to bring it up again on camera. I feel like they're so calculated this season, all of the housewives. But I can see through Erin's story. I don't believe the marriage troubles with Abe. I don't believe the issues with Jenna. Y'all said read it. Y'all are so shady. It's not that salacious. I got a DM. Let's see if it's still there. If not, I know I have a screenshot. No, it's still there. So he sent me a DM off of Twitter because he even linked to Twitter because I had mentioned this, that I felt like that Abe was putting on, that Erin made him go up to Jenna. So he sent me a DM on Halloween. Shouldn't you be worried about you and your children taking them on trick-or-treating? Anyway, it was in the morning. He says, normally I don't engage in comments, but someone sent me this. And because I take authenticity to heart, thought I'd mention that this was actually not pre-produced at all. Did Erin have your phone and she's sending it that way? Okay, let me go back. Normally, I don't engage in comments. Mind you, I didn't tag him. I didn't, I didn't send this to him. Normally, I don't engage in comments, but someone sent me this. And because I take authenticity to heart, thought I'd mention that this was actually not pre-produced at all. I was just a little drunk and ran into her, meaning Jenna, and on my way to the bathroom and just blurted it out. And he tagged my tweet. Okay. Okay. Like, honestly, what I said on Twitter was not that deep for Abe to be DMing me. It's not that deep. And for me, the fact that you felt the need to reach out on Instagram, I said that on Twitter, the fact that you needed you felt the need to reach out says more about the inauthenticity of that engagement than anything. Because if it was real, like, why would you care? Why would you care? Just saying, just asking. Atlanta Mommy says, Erin took his phone. That's what I thought. But Erin, look, normally I'm like, I'm okay with Erin. These last few episodes, I just feel like it's so pre-produced. It's so forced. Now we're hawking her new alcohol line, probably thinking that she's going to do what Bethany Frankel did on RHONY and sell her alcohol line for $100 million. No. No. I'm not saying it's impossible, but no. All these housewives are trying to do that. Say what you want about Bethany. Bethany was a shrewd businesswoman. She did what she needed to do, and she's still doing what she needs to do. Homegirl is doing very well for herself, making these TikToks and things like that. And I'm not just talking about the TikToks she's making. She's not making money off of that. It's the brands that she's working with. Just saying. Anyways, what else happened in this episode before we get to the launch party? So Raquel talked about her own personal story. We got a lot of Raquel in this particular episode. Brynn. So Brynn FaceTimes with her brother because she has no other person in her life. Y'all notice that? This season specifically? Brynn, do you have real friends? I understand you might not have family here in New York City, but do you have real friends? So she only FaceTimes with her brother. She only her scenes are with her brother, if not with the other women. She also is, now we're getting to see what she does for work, probably because of what Erin said on Jeff Lewis's show. So she's very triggered by that still. That's part of her storyline. So now she's working in some tech business. Okay, Brynn. Look, I don't think I would have even thought about what does Brynn do for work until you made it your storyline. Until you made what Erin said or did not say on Jeff Lewis. So now I'm just sort of like, so Brynn, how are you making your money? And I don't believe it's from this new business that you're working in. But okay, we'll run with that. Okay. So she FaceTimes with her brother and she talks about her issues with the ladies. And I thought the same thing. I'm so glad that Sai, during the launch party, was just sort of like, she has an issue with me? So, Brynn, since last week's episode, says that first of all, she says that Sai lives under a bridge, under the Brooklyn Bridge. But I was sort of like, I thought you and Sai were okay. You're probably not the best of friends, but I thought you guys were okay. I thought you put everything to bed in the Hamptons. I thought maybe you and Ubah still were not okay. But you and Sai, I knew you guys weren't the best of friends, but I thought you were fine. Exactly. Jala says, is she the Tommy of the group? I mean, there's a lot of Tommies on Real Housewives in general. A lot of people are like, how do you make your money? Special K says that Brynn was acting as weird at that party as Lisa Barlow at Bronwyn's. We're going to get to that in a second. Guys. If you haven't already, be sure to like the video. It's easy and it's free. We are talking about Real Housewives of New York City, and we will be talking about Salt Lake City as well. I know some of you are just here for Salt Lake City. I will be very brief talking about New York City. I'm just trying to cover the major things that were talked about in this episode. Tika says, I agree, Tika. Tika says, Raquel's story is the most interesting. Scrap all the girls except Raquel, Sai, and sometimes Ubah, child retired. Can we talk about Ubah? And I said this about Ubah last season. Do I have Ubah's photo still here? Hold on. Yes, I do. Hello, Dolly. All right, sorry. Ubah calling Jessel basic at that party. I was just like, Ubah. No, she called her a basic B. Not just basic. because she was mad at her or because she was being corrected by Jessel? Because Ubah took the pitcher of water and took it to the head as opposed to putting it in a glass. And Jessel was just like, what are you doing? There's a glass right here. And she's just like, oh, you, I forgot what she said, but she referred to her as a basic B. I felt like that was excessive. I felt like that didn't warrant that response. No matter what she said in her confessional. I remember the confessionals are filmed after, so she had to find some sort of excuse. And I was just like, ooh, but that was too much. That was too much. And it's not like you can even blame alcohol because she doesn't even drink, Ubah. So it's like, why? All right. Exactly. How do you make your money, Mia Thornton? We were just talking about this on Real Housewives of Potomac. All right. Backtracking. So the other big storyline this week, we get to see Jessel's mom. Her mom is in town. So she tells her mom, we're looking for possibly having another kid. But she says that Pavit is not really down for that. And then she talks about how Indians feel about therapy, but they believe in astrologers. Look, I believe in both. I believe in both. So she lets her mom know that this is something that she wants to do. She wants to have another baby. That is Jessel's storyline this season, which is fine. That's real. That's real. I do believe that Jessel possibly wants to have another kid and she wants to stop paying for the freezer in Beverly Hills. That's over $1,000 a month. But Pavit's like, we got 2 boys and they're going to these very expensive schools. They're paying like over $100,000 for these kids to be in pre-K, if that. And this is just the beginning and they have to pay for college. I don't know how much Pavit makes. I know he's in finance, but that doesn't automatically mean that you're making... First of all, you live in New York City. So even if you work in finance, you live in New York City, you have a wife. Jessel, I know she has worked. I don't know if she's currently working. And even if she was currently working, I don't know how much money she's making to have twins going to these private schools that you're paying all this money for, $100,000 a year. Then you're living in New York City, in Manhattan. I know she lives in Manhattan. I run into her. It's not cheap. So I can't imagine how I get where Pavit's coming from. And yes, he's cheap. Look, he's like, how much is therapy? Because she suggests later on have a scene where she brings up the baby stuff again to him. And he's like, how much is therapy? And she's like, $300 to $500. He's like, that's too much. He says he wants to set it up. He wants to be able to find the bootleg version of therapy for them. I mean, they have the blessing of 2 boys. I'm surprised he's not upset that he's paying over $1,000 a month for keeping the embryos. Or maybe he is. It's expensive. I mean, on one hand, I understand where she's coming from. I mean, especially if she's going to carry the kids, even though in this day and age you don't have to. I can understand where she's coming from, that it would, she wants to have these kids while she's still young and can run around with the kids. Fine. But based on what Pavit has alluded to, you remember last week's episode where he says that, was it last week or the previous week? Who knows at this point? He alludes that she's always napping in the sleep. So I'm guessing between the nannies and Pavit, they're the ones running around with the kids while Jessel is sleeping beauty in the bedroom. And even when she tried to downplay, she's like, he's teaching the boys to say stuff like that. I believe him. So I'm thinking between the nannies and Pavit. I will say this, though. When I ran into Jessel in the streets of New York City, she was with her boys. Or with one of her boys. So I don't know. Maybe that's why Pavit is like, not only is it expensive, but you're not very hands-on. That's what he's alluding to. I'm not mom shaming, because we're going to get to the mom shaming of it all in Salt Lake City. But that's what he's alluded to. It doesn't seem like you're like, and then when your mom's in town, you're like, yes, it's so great to have you here, mother. And I'm just like, oh, okay. I don't know. And I don't think Pavit would say that on camera, meaning like he wouldn't mom shame her and say, you want to have a 3rd child and you barely are involved with the 2. I don't know that. So I don't know if it's just the expense, because 2, you got to think about this. They live in New York City. They already have 2 boys. Those 2 boys are in school. Now they're going to have to pay for another nanny, a nurse situation, another baby. That's expensive. Nora says that Pavit's favorite reply, we'll see, the nice way of, it will never happen. And then I also have to think to myself, I wonder if this is a real storyline. And I know a lot of us are so just desensitized to watching reality television that we feel like everything is so pre-produced. But this cast of Real Housewives of New York is very pre-produced in a bad way. In a very bad way. And I hate to blame, look, I hate to blame Eric Fuller. I'm sorry, Eric. But it just happens that this season is even worse than the first season of New York, and you're at the helm. Just saying. I'm like, Kimberly says if Jessel has another child, Pavit is out. I mean, luckily it's not as easy as just having another child. They actually have to do work in order to make that happen. So that was one of the major storylines in this week's episode was Jessel talking with her mom about having another kid. And she ends up having a conversation with Pavit, but she was like, okay, since you don't want to have this kid, I think we need to have a conversation with a licensed therapist so we can talk this out because you're not having a conversation with me. You're more worried about taking pictures of food. I don't know if he makes any money off of it, but he's not a bad food influencer. But I also understand that that's not what's his main moneymaker. Fine. Look, Danny says that Pavit just wants peace. He wants to eat in peace. I mean, as a tourist, I completely understand. Anyone else? As a tourist, I completely understand his gripe. I was like, I just want to eat. Sometimes I said this before too. I am a person that is okay with silence. Some people are very uncomfortable sitting next to someone and there being complete silence. They don't want any dead air. Okay? He just wants to eat and enjoy his food. What's Pavit's sign? I'm sure we can figure it out based off of Instagram. What's Pavit's sign? What's Jessel's sign? I think we had this before, and at this particular point, I don't remember. I know that Sai is a Sagittarius, right? She's a fire sign. What's everyone else's sign? I don't remember. I really don't care about Real Housewives of New York. Let's talk a little bit about the ending of this episode. So, of course, Erin throws a party for her mezcal liqueur launch. There we go. Sidebar, the guy that she slept with, that's also her business partner, that's her business partner in this business, along with Abe, the one she slept with. So they react to that when they make a speech. All right. They're always segueing back to what happened last season. Erin doesn't know how to throw a party. Erin with her long speeches. Erin with no food, but this event had food, yet Pavit still ordered and got himself a burrito. That's a little tacky. Not a little tacky. That's very tacky. To order food and eat it at someone's event. At least if you're going to order food, go eat it there and then come back. He orders food and then not food from the place. First of all, you shouldn't be even doing that. That's very tacky. That is basic. Pavit is a basic B, okay? Because that is very tacky and tasteless and classless. Okay? Anyways, so at this event, Brynn, Sai does say, hey, Brynn. And Brynn completely ignores her and she's busy flirting with Erin's dad. Erin's dad's father died, right? May he rest in peace. Oh, Jenna's a Gemini? Interesting. Erin's a Cancer? Says a lot. Look, says a lot. Ubah's a Virgo. Oh, yes, I did know Ubah's a Virgo. That makes a lot of sense. I'm surprised that she would take a drink to the head. That's not very Virgo. Okay. Anyone? Any other signs? Okay, fine. So Sai does say hello to Brynn, but Brynn is acting weird and awkward. Ubah's there with her headscarf on. She says she came from running errands. She says she looks like she works at a bank. Okay. But Brynn is doing too much. She's not getting along with anyone in the group. So she's busy. Instead of being with the group, she's busy flirting with Erin's dad. So eventually Brynn goes over and talks out her issues with Ubah and Sai. And they quickly get over it. But we know that this is not over. We know it's not over because what else is going on with this cast? Sidebar, do you guys, at first I thought that I felt like Jessel was being funny at one particular point when she said that she smelled something funny. She's like, is it you? To Erin. And then she said it again later. And I was like, okay, Jessel, you're a little rude. Like, you're a little rude. And mind you, the person that was stanky was Jenna. Remember, she was the one that didn't wear deodorant. Anyways. So they end up, Sai and Ubah and Brynn end up talking about their issues. And Sai even said, she's like, you know what? I'm willing to get along with Brynn. Going back to the surface, meaning like surface level friendship with Brynn. I think she really wanted to be friends with Brynn, but she's seen a side of Brynn that she's like, I'm just not going back there. I'm just not going back there. Ubah calls Jessel a basic B after Jessel says to her, like, there is a glass. She takes the entire pitcher to her head. First of all, you're at a table. Ubah says it was her table. You're at a table with other people, and you take this glass to the head. Now that's basic. That's basic. Anyways, how much have I been talking about? Oh yeah, I gave them almost, a good 25 minutes. I've given Real Housewives of New York City a good 25 minutes. Can we move on? I don't even care about the show. Don't be surprised next week I just completely ignore it. Every single week it gets worse and worse. There's like nothing real to talk about. Okay, Jessel's talking about possibly having another baby. Raquel had probably the most redeeming storyline because we're getting to know a little bit more about her, but I feel like the translation of that story is just not landing either. And I don't know if it's because we're missing elements, but it's just not landing for me. Everybody's so pre-produced. Everybody's so fake this season. And you're representing Real Housewives of New York City, the realest city in the entire damn world. The entire damn world. And we're not getting real from you guys. We're getting fake, 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 fake. Anyway. Oh, sidebar. Brynn, you are a hater. So Rebecca Minkoff is there. She has a, she doesn't really have a storyline, but I don't mind her. Okay. Besides the Scientology situation. So Rebecca has to leave the event early, and Brynn decides to take a passive-aggressive shot at Rebecca, saying to the other ladies, oh, is she going to a Nordstrom Rack award ceremony? Something to that effect. Here's the thing. Why does she... Look, there could be elements that we're missing. That's why she's taking these passive-aggressive shots at Rebecca. I don't think that's it, because Brynn is weird. Brynn is weirdly obsessed with people, weirdly shady towards people, thinking that she's being a great housewife by making these remarks, but it's giving weird for us. Rebecca Minkoff, you taking passive-aggressive shots at a woman that really has a job, that has made millions from having nothing to making millions, from a brand that she started when she was a young woman here in New York City. Like, that's a real New York City triumphant story. And Brynn is taking shots. Brynn, what do you do for a living? How do you make your money? What brand do you have that people can go buy in stores right now? So these little passive-aggressive shots at Rebecca seem so uncalled for. It's giving jealous. It's giving envious. And it's weird. And I forgot to mention this the last couple of weeks. Why every time you're at an event, you're trying to get Rebecca to drink with you? It's giving mean girls, giving bully. And as someone that doesn't drink, and I've met people like this. If I'm out at an event, like, oh, I don't drink. And they're like, oh, you don't. They make such a big deal about it. But you keep trying to make Rebecca drink. It's weird. Like, grow up. You're like damn near 40. You're telling Ubah to grow up and like, we don't act this way. You are so fake. Stop. You're fake. You're jealous. I don't get it. And I'm over you. Special case says it's giving away. It is. Nora says she doesn't even have a coffee table book on flirting. Like, Brynn, please. I forgot to mention the whole alcohol thing because she did it a few times in this season. She's done it a few times in regards to Rebecca not drinking. It's like, what is wrong with you? All right. I've given them 30 minutes too long. Okay. 30 minutes too long. Guys, if you haven't already, be sure to like the video. It's easy. It's free. And don't forget, you can hear an audio version along with additional thoughts that I will add to the podcast. Subscribe to the Kempire podcast today. And while you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. I did drop a election audio exclusive to the podcast. So make sure you subscribe today. Okay. If you want to hear my thoughts, my real thoughts about this week's election and the aftermath, okay? All right, let's talk about the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Yes, come on now. What you've been waiting for. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Look, I still think that Salt Lake City is doing way better than New York City. But I do see that a lot of the OGs don't have a personal storyline, and whatever storyline they're trying to produce is very pre-produced. Meredith, very pre-produced. Heather, no storyline in sight, pot stirring, as what's her name said on Watch What Happens Live last night. She was like, she's pot stirring with no seasoning. And I was like, that is the perfect way to describe what Heather is doing. But are we surprised that she's not putting any seasoning in? No. No. All right. Wait, I didn't even open my notes for Salt Lake City. I don't really have a lot of notes. I just would like to kind of remind myself what happened in each scene. Okay. And I did watch the after show as well. I'm going to mix in things that I remember that was said during the after show. I did see that a lot of people were reacting that episode 2 of the after show. There were things left out pertaining to Bronwyn's family drama in regards to her daughter and the family. Like, that's a really sensitive situation. So I implore people that do what I do to be a little bit more respectful of a real life family situation that's going on when it comes to Bronwyn and her daughter. Okay? Because I see a lot of stuff on social media and it's like, why are we involved or alluding to a situation that has real life detrimental effects on Bronwyn's daughter? That's weird. Just saying. Anyways, so Salt Lake City. Meredith and Lisa, they're working on their friendship. Do I think that Meredith and Lisa are actually friends again? No, I don't. No, hold on. Look. Got me.
Meredith can go f*** herself. I'm done with her. Because I'm not a f***ing whore and I don't cheat on my husband. Her and a dumb family that poses. Why don't you own a house? Wait, you can't. Because your husband changes jobs every 5 minutes? Fake Meredith is a piece of I have your back and I'm offended by that. You, that piece of garbage whore. I hate her. She's a whore. She's half of New York. She can go f*** herself.
So if you pay attention to what she says in this, it's actually pretty telling. And I believe it's the truth. I believe that it's the truth. Stefan says Eric Fuller is gone from Potomac and Atlanta, and now suddenly unwatchable coincidence. This is why I mentioned these things to you guys. I'm not saying that's all on him, but doesn't seem to help. Doesn't seem to help. I had to play it for you guys because pay attention to what was said in that soundbite in regards to Meredith. So I find it hard to believe that Meredith and Lisa have really, truly gotten over that. I think what they've done is like, we're OGs. I think they all came together after the Monica stuff. And for those that may have missed it during our election night party, I did talk about the Monica stuff, but I'll give you a brief overview of what happened. So Monica recently just came out as well in reacting to the news that came out on election day that she has been ordered by a court to pay Heather Gay and her company, Beauty Lab, $35,000. She has to pay Heather Gay $35,000. And I know what you're thinking, lip injections cost that much? No, the lip injections, I believe, were like $2,000. With interest, it was like another over $1,000 more. And then some other fees, court fees. It's the lawyer fees, Heather's lawyer fees, that cost over $31,000. So Monica came out and put out a statement. She's like, I can't believe I have to, people are focused on this right now with everything that's going on in our country. No, Monica, we can do both. We can focus on what's happening in our country with the election and also cover the fact that you've been ordered to pay $35,000 to Heather over some damn lip injections. It probably would have been implored her just to pay the bill or come up with some sort of settlement. Now, $35,000. Well, according to Monica, she is going to appeal it. Her and her lawyer are going to appeal it. So you're going to fight this some more? So you're going to have to owe Heather even more attorney's fees? It's not worth it over some lip injections. Girl. Like, I can't stand Heather Gay either, but come on. And you're not even on the show anymore. So it's not like you have the money, allegedly. Oh, Yulissa says, Monica, pay your bills, child. Nasser says, we have time. We have time. We could do both. We can focus on the election. I did yesterday. And that night, I focused on the election and I reported on your stuff. $35,000? Now she says she's appealing it to run up some more court fees. Okay, fine. Fine. So back to this. So Heather meets up with Meredith and Lisa to give her side of what went down with Bronwyn. And did you guys pay attention to Heather's version of what happened with Bronwyn? She said it was so, first of all, Meredith's storyline is that she's having a bat mitzvah. So she's talking with Lisa about like, oh, I invited my mother. I'm trying to figure out who else I want to invite. I can never understand her accent. And my mother says she's coming. Heather arrives and she's like, I want to invite you to my bat mitzvah. Heather's reaction, this is how you know that these women, these OGs of Salt Lake City, are so pre-produced. They're not really friends like that. They're just having each other's back as an alliance. Heather's response to Meredith saying that I'm having a bat mitzvah. She's like, am I? Like, oh my God, you're having a bat mitzvah? Oh my God. Oh my God. You're having a bat mitzvah? What was that reaction? Because I think any normal person would have been like, you're having a bat mitzvah? So for me, Heather Gay's reaction was more like, I am pretending in this moment. Instead of like, wait, you never had one? Like, that would have been my reaction. Or if she knew she didn't have one, I'm like, why? So why now? But her reaction was sort of like, oh my God. Like, I noticed it with Heather this week. I noticed this with Lisa Barlow, even though Lisa gives inauthentic all the time. But I can see that they are working with each other. This is an alliance. Meredith, Heather, and Lisa are in an alliance. Okay? So Soraya says, well, Mary's a little pre-produced. Yeah, but at least it's funny. And that's the thing. I don't think we mind pre-produce if it lands. A lot of times these housewives are being pre-producers and it doesn't land. But at least with Mary Cosby, it's like, oh, that was funny. Didn't see that coming. Just saying. Anyways, so she tells Heather that she's planning this bat mitzvah. So Heather then recounts what happened between her and Bronwyn. And we watched an edited scene. However, based on what we saw in that Bronwyn conversation, it wasn't weird. I felt like Bronwyn really was genuinely trying to fix whatever issues that they had before going on this trip. And now we understand why, because this was going to be a couple's trip. And it's not because Heather isn't in a couple, but her husband is not for the foolishness. And we saw that in this week. So now I understand more than ever why Bronwyn's just like, I want to have a conversation with you. I'm not inviting Brittany. This was like the first week that we didn't talk about Brittany. Okay. I'm not inviting Brittany because we don't see it for each other. And she's also not a full-time housewife, so I don't have to invite her. But I want to invite Heather, but we have an issue. Todd's not here for the mess. We literally see that. He is not here for these reindeer games. So now I understand now more than ever why Bronwyn's just like, let's have a conversation. Bronwyn does apologize to Heather. She was like, I don't even think she said sorry. Heather could have sat there and they could have probably gotten over this, but Heather needs a storyline. And I also believe that Heather, very much like Lisa and Meredith, all of these OGs feel threatened anytime a newbie comes in. And I think more than ever, they feel threatened because Bronwyn is coming in with her. Like, she's not desperate. She's not giving desperate. She has her own lifestyle. She has her own personality. And you could tell all of these housewives, we've seen it on Real Housewives of Potomac, are going through this sort of like hazing of the newbies, and it's not landing. It's not landing with Stacey on Potomac. It's not landing with Kiarna on Potomac. It's not landing with Bronwyn. Bronwyn is coming in, and it's just like, here we go. Like, what? Bronwyn's on vacation with her husband, and she's shopping for $1 million jewels. Did I feel like that was a little performative? There was a small part of me. There was a small part of me that was like, is this being performative? But then if you look at Todd and how much money he makes, you're like, well, maybe not. Look, maybe not. This is their anniversary trip. Okay? We do know that normally Bravo pays for these trips. So I always find it interesting when the housewives like pretend like they're paying for the trip. But maybe she really is. This is their rental, $20,000 a night. The private jet. I don't know if they own the private jet or they rented it or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's a private jet. Nice one. Probably one of the nicest ones we've seen on Real Housewives. All right, I've jumped. So Heather recounts what happened between her and Bronwyn in her conversation. I don't believe Heather's recount because we saw it. It didn't play out the way that she thought that it played out. But then Lisa says, because Heather brought up the fact that she said that she called you too. So Lisa says, yeah, we had a conversation and I really was just like a little pissed when I got off the phone because she asked me whether or not John and Justin would be okay together. I'm so glad that the editors inserted how that conversation actually went, because the way that Lisa tried to tell it versus how it actually went, no, Bronwyn was a real one. She's like, is everything good with you guys? I just want to make sure that everything is good. Because they literally almost got physical at Angie K's house. To me, that seems normal for Bronwyn to ask, why exactly, not why, but, are they good? Are they in a good space? Because again, Todd is not here for the BS. He's not trying to break up any fight between John and Justin. So I completely understand why Bronwyn would come to you. Bronwyn, the receipts were receiving for Bronwyn this week because I really do feel like Bronwyn has been a friend to Lisa and Lisa is not being a friend to her. I think she's being a friend to the OGs, even though they want to pretend like they have this friendship. They don't have a real friendship. They have an alliance. We see this all the time on Real Housewives. They don't have a real friendship. I don't even see these women hanging off of the show. It's how we see with other housewives that have real friendships. Like we see Sutton and Garcelle traveling together. We see them hanging out. We don't see that with a lot of these housewives. We don't. Not that I follow them like that, but I end up seeing it because of the fan sites. So I'm like, oh, okay. A lot of times they start hanging out right before the season or during the season only. But Lisa trying to recount her conversation and say she was a little annoyed by Bronwyn asking that question and her response, I was just like, okay. So Meredith, no storyline Meredith Brooks. Look, Brooks. Marks, there we go. This brings up Brooks and what Sean said in a podcast in regards to she uses Brooks as a pawn. And she doesn't love that he's talking about her son or the fact that her son might be a prop. Your son has been a prop for you, Meredith, since season 1 when he was sitting down doing confessionals because Seth was too busy somewhere else. I don't know where Seth, he was working. He was working somewhere else. When you put your children as on this show, grown children over the age of 18, like Gia on Real Housewives of New Jersey, when you put them in the hot seat in confessionals, it's not the same as Angie K and her daughter. Her daughter's a minor. But you put your son Brooks because he was so desperate to be on camera and that we all were like, he is so unlikable. So we're not going to watch that reality show with him because he's still unlikable. When you put him out there, you put him out there as a pawn. Okay, you did it. You did it since season 1, Meredith. So she's so upset that Sean talked about her son on the podcast. Mind you, she's talking about Angie K's husband possibly being gay. I mean, he's a gay man's dream. Look, he's a gay man's dream. But he says that he's not. But you alluded to it. Yes, you used Monica to get the story out there. But you alluded to it. You just want to talk about the husbands? How about we talk about you slurring your words? Look, talk about the husbands. Look, just saying. Paris says, I was like, was Sean wrong? Literally season 1, she was trekking out Brooks on the show doing confessionals. And we were like, okay, that's weird. Not as weird as your husband, Seth, though, but we'll get there. Anyways, so we had that moment. Bronwyn FaceTimes with Todd. Todd is not for the BS. Todd is just sort of like, whatever when it comes to this stuff. Todd doesn't realize he's filming a reality show. Okay. He doesn't even care. I think he's allowing Bronwyn to do this, but he still doesn't understand the world of it. He doesn't want her to make a fool of him on this reality show. Look, this is when a real person that with real money comes on a reality show and doesn't realize they're on a reality show. That's what we're seeing with Todd. Okay. So she FaceTimes with Todd to let him know Mary Cosby's not going to be able to come. And look, we did get to see Mary Cosby. I get why Mary Cosby did not go on the trip. I wonder if she goes on the next trip. Did they go on an international trip? They must, right? Because Jen Shaw's not there. And she's concerned about leaving Robert Jr. at home alone because we know because of the drug stuff. So I felt for Mary in that moment because that's the first thing that came to mind. Like she doesn't want to leave him at home. Okay. So Mary Cosby didn't come on this trip. I kind of wish that she did, but I understand. Okay. Todd says he's not interested in any of the drama. Oh, damn, Todd. What did you sign up for? Do you think that Todd will just be like this to Bronwyn next season? I'm going to give you the money. I'm going to give you whatever they're going to pay you. I'm going to give you triple. But I think Bronwyn's a good addition to Salt Lake City, to be honest with you. For me, she's holding her own. She's really holding her own. Like, she's real. Unlike some of these other housewives. What we thought Heather Gay was, but Heather Gay has become so pre-produced and so self-aware that she comes across so unlikable. So unlikable. Sidebar, guys. If you enjoy me talking about hot topics like this or the diddler, make sure that you come to our Los Angeles show. Who's coming to our Los Angeles show on November 20th? Literally 13 days away. 13 days away. If you haven't already, be sure to get your tickets for our show at the Berman Room in Los Angeles. I know you enjoy our live shows here, but the Kempire After Dark live experience in person is a different experience. Meet and greets are available. Get your tickets today. And then London. Who's coming to our London show? We'll be in London on December 8th for our Kempire After Dark live experience. I'm brushing up on my English accent, so stay tuned. Okay? So bad. Stay tuned for that. Tickets are available for that. And just announced we will be coming back to Washington, D.C. on January 24th, Friday, January 24th. Tickets are available there. If you're coming to the D.C. show, if you're in the DMV, I implore you to get your tickets now, especially if you want to meet and greets. There's a low ticket alert on that and low ticket alert on the premiere seating. Just saying, in case you were like, oh, I have to wait. Just saying, today might be payday for some of y'all. Just saying. Not Diddy might be there. Diddy is not going to be there. Diddy is locked up. They won't let him out. They won't let him out. Deborah says she's got her tickets for LA. I'll be there. Can't wait to meet you, Deborah. JP's also coming. Hey, JP. If you're in LA or if you're near LA, if you want to be in LA, go get your tickets. Go get your tickets. All right. Lamara says, can't wait for London. Me too. I can't wait to get back to London. That's going to be fun. We're still working on some other things. Shout out to Grace Report will be joining me in London. She'll be joining me on stage. So if you love Grace Report, make sure you get your tickets for that, for our London show. And in DC, Taria, Taria's been here on the channel before and I've been on her podcast, What Else Is Going On podcast, will be joining me as the MC in DC. Okay? Just saying. All right. Exactly. Neek says Bronwyn sitting next to Andy at the reunion would be epic. She needs to. She needs to. Not Heather. Oh, Millie says we'll be in London, work trip to Amsterdam, but happy to make the detour. Oh, Millie, I love that. I might take a detour to Amsterdam. I love me some Amsterdam. Okay. Anyways. All right. Oh, yay. Twang. Twang a lang. Not twang a lang. Not twang a lang. Says my friend and I have our DC ticks. Shout out to DC. You guys always show up and show out. Our last show there was sold out. I have a feeling we're going to be sold out again. LA, don't let them put you to shame. Go get your tickets today. London, don't let them put you to shame. Go get your tickets today. More information on that and on Uncommon Goods are available in the description. All right. So back to Salt Lake City. So Angie and Sean are packing for their trip. I did see how Angie's tried to slip in that Versace new shoes into her bag. And he was like, I didn't see that on the Amex yet. Look, mind you, we have to remember that Angie K is not just the doting wife. She is a partner, like a full-fledged partner with Sean in their multiple businesses. All right? So I'm like, Angie, you spend your money. Look, spend your money. But they do talk about where she is with Lisa, and he says that Angie lets Lisa get away with being mean to her. I mean, look, I don't agree with Angie K and her mom shaming Lisa because Lisa really did feel that, and she talks about that with John when they're packing for the trip as well. I feel for her. I do. Look, every parent is different, and I hope that Lisa and Angie can have an actual conversation because, Angie, what you said, I could see her being hurt by that. Especially right now with Jack being away and Henry and the whole school birthday party situation. But did you guys see, if you follow me on Twitter, then you saw the clip that I posted. So during the after show in episode 2, Lisa said, did I have it on my phone? Let me play it for you. I think I have it on my phone. If I can find it. Hold on, y'all. Let me see if I can find it real quick. Let me find it real quick because I want to play it for you guys. Let me see. Because I posted it the other day on my Twitter. Where is it? Where is it? Oh, maybe it's not on this phone. Maybe it's on my other phone. Damn it. It should be on my Twitter, though. Let me go to my Twitter, because look, this is my review. You guys will be patient with me. I wanted to play this for you. What Lisa Barlow said during the after show in regards to her son's class, Henry's class. I mean, some of you that follow me on Twitter already know what the clip said, but I want to play it for you because it was so interesting. And like, damn, not the 7th graders catching strays from Lisa Barlow. Lisa Barlow. Hold on, y'all. I know it's here somewhere. Hold on. Because all of you guys started retweeting, and I was like, oh, didn't expect this one to go viral. Hold on. Where is it? It's here. I'm getting closer and closer. It wasn't that long ago that I posted this. It's coming up. Hold on. There it is. Okay. All right, you ready? Are you ready? Don't forget to like the video, guys. It's easy, and it's free. Okay? Let me play this for you.
Just different kids. Your friend's small, but like Jack had an outstanding class, like Henry's class, like half of them will probably end up in prison. Like they're just different kids. The luck of the draw. Like the things like one of his friends. Your friend's small, but like Jack had an outstanding class, like Henry's class, like half of them will probably end up in prison. Like they're just different kids. The luck of the draw. Like the things like
Henry already is having issues with people not showing up to his party, and your mom says this about the 7th graders. That half of them will end up probably end up in prison. I was like, anyways. During Whitney and Justin's scene, Whitney says that Lisa owes Justin an apology. We said last week, agreed. Honestly, Lisa went up to Justin and was like, your wife's a liar. She involved him. Do I think that John was overly aggressive the second time around? Yes. Okay. What else was said? Lisa and John, they talk about that, and Lisa literally says in the scene that Justin owes her an apology. I don't agree with that. Justin says that he's going to think about giving her an apology. And that's when Lisa gets emotional talking about Henry and the mom shaming of it all and how much that hurt her. Fine. So the group, as you know, they're packing to go on this trip. They're going to Palm Springs, Bronwyn Air. So we get this cute little, intro from Bronwyn. Bronwyn, you did a good job on this whole airport announcement that you were doing. I was like, this is really cute how she did that. But she has that cute kind of personality. She does this with Todd. I can see why Todd is in love with her, because he's sort of like, she makes him probably feel young because she's always doing like these funny, quirky things. And I believe it was in the after show, or was it in an interview? I think it was in an interview. No, it was in the after show, I think, where Bronwyn talked about how that whole idea of doing the costumes every time she went to pick them up at the airport. She says now if she doesn't do it, he's like, what's wrong? Her daughter gets jealous of the fact that she won't pick her up in a costume. Like, they love it. She talked about the history of why she started doing that. So I was like, okay, I'm really enjoying Bronwyn this season. So she does that whole delivery of Bronwyn Air, and I'm like, okay, this is cute. So they're on this private jet. I saw that they put little boxes of things on the seats for people. What were in those boxes? Were those gifts? It couldn't possibly. How long is the flight from Salt Lake City to Palm Springs? It couldn't be like pajamas, right? It was cute. That was like little gifts, a big box and then a little box on top of it. I was like, okay, fine. So the group is on the plane. Everyone might be having their issues, but everyone's getting along. On the plane, apparently, though, it looks like Bronwyn, Meredith, and Lisa had a conversation about her conversation with Heather. We will get back to that. But Bronwyn does say that she feels as if Lisa isn't open to her side of things. Like, between Meredith and Lisa, it feels like they were just defending Heather in that conversation. And I think it's an OG thing. And I think it was in the after show where Heather was just like, these are my friends. I've known these people a long time. Bronwyn and Heather were actually friends before you and Lisa were friends. You probably knew Lisa from back in the day, but you weren't friends. You wanted to be in the cool girl clique with her, but you weren't. And now that you have an opportunity that you started on the show with her, it's sort of like that's what you're literally doing what was probably done to you in high school, Heather. Just saying. Anyway, so they end up arriving at the Palm Springs beautiful home that is a rental, but it's like $20,000 a night. $20,000 a night for this big, beautiful rental. So the group walks around. It's a couple's trip. Everyone that went on this trip are part of a couple. And so we have Seth, who's forever weird, walks around because he knows the thing. He walks around and he's like, I got to find a bathtub because, that's Meredith's thing. She needs to have a bathtub. But he walks around the entire house and there's no bathtub, which I'm kind of surprised that there's not at least one. But maybe there is. Maybe it's only in the primary suite. AMS in Michigan, thank you so much for the super chat. It says, thank you for playing Lisa's rant. Come on. Go. One more time.
Meredith can go herself. I'm done with her because I'm not a whore and I don't cheat on my husband. Her and a dumb family that poses. Why don't you own a house? Wait, you can't because your husband changes jobs every 5 minutes? Fake Meredith is a piece of I have your back and I'm offended by that. You fucking piece of garbage whore. I hate her. She's a whore. She's half of New York. She can go herself.
And you notice what she talked about, Seth, always changing jobs, and that's why they have to have a rental. Interesting, because the second part B of Meredith's storyline, at least in this episode, is that she's having issues with Seth. He's always working. He's always out of town. That's what their issues were before. I did see that everything is now supposedly good with her and Seth. Of course it is, because nothing was ever really wrong. I don't even believe that there's any love left in this relationship. I don't know why you guys stay together. I think maybe you stay together for the sake of the show and you guys continue to do your own thing. That's what I believe. I don't know that to be fact, but that's what I believe. I don't believe this is a love relationship anymore. Okay? Especially the way that you constantly take digs at him. I mean, he's a weirdo. Look, Seth is a weirdo. But I'm like, it is what it is. So Lisa says, she's talking with Meredith and their husbands, and she's like, you should so join us in Italy. We're going to be there for a little bit. I don't really love the food in Italy. And of course, anyone that's ever been to Italy, like, you don't like the food in Italy. But Lisa Barlow's palate is that of Wendy's. Okay? So, and when I say Wendy's, I'm talking about the fast food chain. Okay? Her palate is not the most mature, not the most pristine, but she says I think the food is too fresh. Too fresh, girl. Sidebar: because she has money, Bronwyn meets with her jeweler. At first, I was like, "Who's this woman coming in?" And Todd was like, "I'm sure Bronwyn's so happy to see you." And I'm like, "Who's this woman?" Bronwyn is looking at a necklace, and how many carats did the earrings have? Like 7 carats? It was like over $1 million for those earrings alone. She said, I want to try them on and then decide. I was like, oh. Again, I know we're watching a reality show. I know production, the network, they want us to think that everybody's so super rich. And even if they are super rich, they want you to display it because so many fans love to see the super uber rich housewives. Fine. So we get this moment, okay? Well, was it 4 carat? Oh, 4 carat. Okay. Excuse me. And a $4 million necklace. I was like, okay, madam. Look, fine. So we get a little bit of that. While we're getting that, we have Sean, and I liked kind of seeing Sean and Angie have a little good time with each other. We don't really get to see their marriage. Like their marriage, yes, there was I think that's the bad thing about reality television is that when a rumor is put out there, it always sort of hovers. Even if it's not true. The fact that they put out that rumor, that this is what the people are saying about Sean in Salt Lake City, I think it always will follow him, which is, it's sad, especially if it's not true. But I like seeing this little moment between Angie K and Sean. They're a really good looking couple too. When you see them like standing next to each other, you're like, oh, that's a good looking couple. There's a couple of good looking couples on Salt Lake City. Okay. All right. Moving on. What else was... Oh, Meredith gets into an argument. Look, I'm bored. Meredith gets not into an argument, but she shows her frustration because Seth comes over. Meredith, I have to go back to... Where did he say I have to go back to? Ohio? I got to go back to Ohio tomorrow. I got to leave the trip early. And she's like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is what... this was our problem before, Seth. This was our problem before. I don't believe this. I feel like you guys are just putting on to have some sort of like storyline. What else? What is really happening in your lives? I don't believe that, oh, he's working too much and this was the stem of their issue before. And now they're back at the same place. Now they're all good. I don't believe it. You guys need to just get the divorce. Look, just get the divorce. Just be done with it. I don't feel the passion between these two. And no, don't put them in another hot tub together. I don't care. I don't want to see it. Please. Look, please. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Just as your impressions make me scream. And I don't even think they're that good, to be honest with you. Like, I need to work on my impression of Meredith. Okay. So we had that moment between Seth and Meredith. Who cares? Because I don't believe it. So he has to leave the trip early. Fine. Seth is weird. You don't notice the weird things that he says. He might be weirder than Louis Ruelas for Real Housewives of New Jersey. It just lands a little bit differently because we don't see him all the time on the show. He's a little weird. I remember when the show first started, I was like, oh, I kind of like Seth. And I started following him. And I was like, unfollow. He was so weird on Instagram. I was like, weird. Something weird about him. And I don't think Meredith, I want you to be with the man that you want to be with. Is he here in New York? Want to talk about the husbands? Let's talk about the husbands, Meredith. Let's talk about the husbands, okay? All right. Seth, go back to Ohio, okay? Anyway, so the group, they're in the pool. The husbands are in the pool. Seth's being weird over there with the husband. He's like, we're so lucky. We're so lucky to be, straight men with really great, amazing wives. He doesn't talk like that, but it was a weird comment. I was like, all right, fine. You're so lucky. Fine. Keep putting on. All right. Guys, if you haven't already, we have almost 1,000 of you here for our Real Housewives of New York City and Salt Lake City recap. Don't forget to like the video. It's easy and it's free. If you're a member of the channel, I'm going to drop the call link for you guys now so I don't forget. So let me just do that right now. On the community tab, I'm going to drop the call-in link for members. Live chat. Let's get to 400 likes and I'll drop the call-in link for you guys as well to call in and share your thoughts about the Real Housewives of New York if you want to, or Salt Lake City. All right. So the ladies are sitting around the pool. I know Bronwyn and Whitney had made a comment earlier in the trip where they were like, they're sort of like separating themselves. Meredith and Lisa, they were sort of separating themselves from the rest of the group. So they're like, this is odd. This is weird. And Bronwyn's just like, I'm not here for this. Like, I'm trying to make sure that all of you guys, like, she's trying to be a good host. She really is trying to be a good host. And it seems as if Lisa's just not appreciating the friendship that she's been trying to be to, a friend that she's trying to be to Lisa, and the friend or the host that she's trying to be. I don't know about you guys, when she made a comment, Bronwyn, in regards to, she's been a loyal friend to Lisa. And if my loyalty is not enough, at least I bought your loyalty by paying for this trip. I was like, oh, that was an interesting comment, because we also know that technically Bravo pays for the trip. But then I thought to myself, well, this is her rental, so technically she's really paying for the trip. And if anything, maybe Bravo gave her a little bit of a stipend, which doesn't equate to the $20,000 that they pay a month for this place. So I thought, or $20,000 a night for this place. So maybe that's what she meant. But I was sort of like, oh, I was like, that's interesting. But she really has been a good friend to Lisa. So, of course, when Bronwyn walks away, she comes out of the pool. They're still talking about this whole Alibaba stuff and the issues between Lisa Barlow and Whitney. I did see that Whitney was on Watch What Happens Live last night, and she says that, her stuff is not from Alibaba. We just came out with a new collection. Fine. She's also accusing the blogger or podcaster of being thirsty and a liar. Look, I'm so bored with this Alibaba story at this particular point. Were you fishing for a storyline, Whitney? I don't get it. I don't get why we're still here. I've told you guys this before. I have no actual proof or evidence. But what I do know, I don't think I believe that Lisa had anything to do with it. But maybe she did. Maybe Lisa's playing a good acting for once. I just don't believe it, personally. But she says she does. Fine. I know the bloggers are saying one thing on social media, saying there's proof, there's text messages proving that Whitney knew that it wasn't Lisa. I don't care. It's not interesting enough to care. Like, girl, the bigger issue is whether or not is your stuff from Alibaba or not. And she said on Watch What Happens Live, it's not. It's not. AMS says, what is Whitney's storyline? I think this is what she's trying to create, a storyline. That's what she's trying to create. I can't say that I'm interested. All right. So you guys are funny in the comment. Funny. Okay. All right. What else happened so Bronwyn ends up going to take a leak. I thought it was like, that is so basic. Why are we saying we're going to take a leak? Just say you're going to use the restroom. Anyways, so she ends up going to use the restroom. She comes back and they're on FaceTime with Heather because Angie says, I miss Heather, but I was gonna text her when I got back to the room. And Lisa Barlow wants to make it seem as if you're just like, I don't want to talk about Heather, and Heather's not here to defend herself. So she's like, I'm gonna FaceTime Heather. So they FaceTime Heather. Bronwyn comes back and they see that they're FaceTiming Heather, and it's awkward, which leads to a back and forth between, after they hang up with Heather, leads to a back and forth between Bronwyn and Lisa. And honestly, Lisa, I have to give it to Bronwyn. Bronwyn had solid proof, and I love that the editors inserted the proof. Bronwyn really has had your back. Even when you said that she didn't come and check on you after the whole Whitney and Justin thing, they show Bronwyn actually going to check on you. Bronwyn says in that moment, I went up to you and John before you left to check on you. And I think that what Lisa also doesn't love when arguing with Bronwyn can actually get her point across. Lisa, not so much. She's one of those housewives that really cannot get her point across. She doesn't bring out the receipts, the timeline, or the screenshots. It doesn't make sense. Sometimes you're just sort of like, huh? And then when Bronwyn's just like, I'm not going to do this with you because I've had your back. You don't have mine. You're giving grace to Heather, who's come back to you, talking all kinds of crap about me. And I'm telling you, I tried to make peace so that she could come on this trip. But you, as my friend, are not even giving me grace. You're giving Heather grace, but you're not giving me any grace. And I get it. She's like, you're being hypocritical. Okay? So she gets up and she walks away. Mind you, the husbands are over there listening to this. Before Bronwyn even walks away, Todd gets involved. He's like, why don't we call Heather? And she's like, we did. That is the problem. That is the problem. All right. So Bronwyn ends up getting up and going off. And then Whitney joins her and they have their own side conversation about this. Lisa, though, she just never can read a room. She's like, you know what? People are going to be apologizing to me later. For what? No, they're not. No, they're not. They're going to be really shook if Bronwyn gets the seat next to Andy this season. Because I know we always say, oh, it's not a big thing to sit next to Andy. For these housewives, it is. For these housewives, it is a big deal to sit next to Andy. Okay. Oh, Soraya says that's why the spar between Bronwyn and Virgo and Heather, Cancer, was so good. Oh, because a Virgo, detail-oriented, they're going to have their facts together. Oh, that's a good question. Let me see. Hold on. Annie says, can we do a poll, Kempire, on if we think that Lisa and John will leave? Because, it's so funny. I do find it funny that every time Bronwyn talks about this trip, like this is a free trip. This is a free trip for Heather, a free trip for Lisa and John. More so for Lisa. She likes a free trip. All right, so I'm going to end this poll. So I did, how would you rate Real Housewives of New York's latest episode? It's very mixed. It's very mixed. I have to say, what wins out of this percentage based off of 646 votes, 36% of you voted 4 to 6. You would rate this week's episode, but 30% said 1 to 3, and 34% of you 7 to 10. That's very generous of you guys. I'm surprised. All right, let me do that. Okay. Do you think that Lisa and John will end up leaving the trip? I don't know if I do. I'm just going to give you yes or no. I'm not going to do any maybe or I don't know. Okay. All right. So I just did that. All right. You guys will let me know. All right. If you're a member of the channel, shout out to all the members that are backstage. We're going to get to the callers in just a second, but live chat, once we get to 400 likes, I will be dropping the call link for you guys there. All right. Lily says, take New York off the air. Well, I don't think you'll have to wait too long for that. Okay. All right. Let me see. What else I want to say? All right. So they end up FaceTiming Heather, whatever. It leads to a fight between Lisa Barlow and Bronwyn. Bronwyn walks away from her conversation with Lisa. She has a conversation with Whitney and she airs out her grievances. Whitney, I thought was interesting on Watch What Happens Live because originally Whitney says, at first I was like 50-50 when it comes to the Heather and Bronwyn stuff, but now she understands where Heather is coming from. I just don't trust these housewives because I feel like sometimes what they're doing is just an alliance. I don't understand where Heather's coming from at all this season. But maybe there's more information that comes out later in the season that will make more sense. But I already told you, I don't believe this new alliance between the bad weather cousins. I don't know if I believe that because I told you a couple of weeks ago when they went to Milwaukee, the way that, first of all, how Heather was screaming at her on episode 1 and throwing her under the bus for Lisa to then like, yes, Whitney, go Whitney. We love you, Whitney. I was like, it's giving fake. Now all of a sudden you want to be Laverne and Shirley. No. So I feel like they're getting along to get along for whatever reason. Or maybe they've decided to have their own little alliance against Bronwyn. Because I also think that the OGs do get into feeling insecure when a newbie comes in and becomes a fan favorite. I do believe that affects them. And a lot of people are enjoying Bronwyn because she's real and has real money and is calling you guys out for the fakery. Lou says they have a pick me alliance. Agreed. Let me take a sip. I've been talking for a very long time. All right. Todd comes in. Look, Todd comes in. Todd means business. Even Whitney, when she sees Todd come in, she's like, sorry, Todd. Todd's like, what is going on? Like, I did not come here for this. I told you I didn't want this. And she says that Todd is her knight in shining a-hole. And she also says she needs him to come in with a Nerf gun and not a machete. But he always comes in with a machete. We have to remember, he's a man of a particular age. He's also a person that is used to being the boss of everything and everyone. I didn't love the interaction between Bronwyn and Todd because it felt uncomfortable. It felt like she didn't necessarily have a voice in that relationship, which always is a little bit uncomfortable. But I get it where he's coming from. He's like, this is their anniversary. You have to keep in mind, in Todd's mind, he's not filming a reality show. This is his everyday life. I come to Palm Springs with my wife. I get her some $1 million jewels, and then we relax. He doesn't realize that these housewives that have the fake money, they understand the assignment. They've been doing it for like 5 seasons. You got to come here and you got to cause some drama so that they will film. But Todd's like, I'm not here for this. He's like, I came here to relax. I just went to Korea. Was it Korea or Japan? I think it was Japan. He's like, I'm not here for this. Like, I'm tired. He's probably a little jet lagged too. Look. He might be a little bit jet lagged. Okay? Look, Claudia says Todd's a mean person. Like, it was getting a little mean, grandpa. Okay? All right? So he says if Lisa and John can't squash this and the beef be done with it, then maybe they need to go home. So I thought he was going to have Bronwyn do it, but he was like, no, he went to John and told John. He's like, if Lisa can't, just be done with this, then I think you guys should leave. Homeboy's like, we'll give them a little money and get them a car and they can go. I respect it. But I do understand that we're filming a reality show, so I understand where the other ladies are coming from. But Todd is like, I don't care about any of that. I don't give one rat ass about that at all. He's like, I'm here on vacation. I want to relax. He doesn't realize his wife has to turn up. All right. But we have to remember, he's like, I got a lot of stuff to lose. I actually have real businesses with real money, making money. I don't need my wife out here looking like a deranged housewife, arguing with Lisa Barlow. This is what I'm thinking as I'm watching the scene. He's like, enough of this. He's like, he's not for these games. You know how the other husbands are sort of like Seth, Justin, and John, they're very quiet. Sidebar, earlier in the episode, when Bronwyn called Lisa about Justin and John getting along, and Lisa's like, John is a CEO. Oh, okay. So I guess that makes him different in regards to how he's going to handle himself. I was actually surprised how John handled himself at Angie's anniversary party, because normally he's very laid back and cool and calm and collected. I do feel like maybe some of that was forced because of the camera, but fine. But anyways, a lot of you are here for Todd. I see it. Nasser says send the riffraff home. Ashley says he's not wrong. This is the second event that Lisa starts acting up. I mean, I'm not saying that he's wrong. This is his house. He's paying for everyone to be there. It's his anniversary. He flew everybody in. I don't blame him. And I also don't think he realizes he's filming a reality show. He doesn't care. And I wouldn't be surprised if he says next year, don't do the show. I will give you triple what they're giving you. But, a woman has to have her own. And I think she's good on the show. Look, Rhonda says, I have no problem with Todd. Handle your business, sir. Hold on. Cindy says, that was not okay. People are only okay with it because they don't like Lisa. Everybody would have been up in arms if another husband did that. Well, I don't know if they would be up in arms. If Todd went to Lisa, maybe. But Todd went to Lisa's husband. Let's be honest. Todd went to Lisa's husband. He went to his wife and spoke to his wife the way that they are used to speaking to each other. I was a little uncomfortable because it does feel like it was a father speaking to a kid. And she looked uncomfortable too. But there are a lot of y'all in relationships very much like Bronwyn. So then there's that. All right. Live chat, we're about to be at 400 likes. I will drop the call and link once we get there. Don't forget to like the video if you haven't already. And don't forget, the Kempire After Dark live experience is coming to Los Angeles on November 20th. That is 13 days away, less than 13 days away at this particular point. Get your tickets today if you are in Los Angeles or will be in Los Angeles or can be in Los Angeles. Get your tickets. Meet and greets are still available. Then in London, we're coming to London December 8th. Get your tickets for that show if you haven't already. And we're coming to Washington, D.C. on January 24th. More information on the Kempire After Dark live experience tour will be available in the description. Get your tickets today. All right? Ooh, Danny says Todd was giving abusive scary. Nope, sir. I don't know if he was giving abusive. It was, I feel like he can be, I think he's a little grumpy. I don't know if I would say abusive. That's a damning accusation, but it did make me uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. It did make me uncomfortable. All right. Jasmine, thank you so much for the super chat. Jasmine says, I really needed a Kempire live after these last few days. So thank you. Thank you, Jasmine. I appreciate that. Hey, V. V gave me a super chat as well. Thank you, V, for the super chat. She says, Lisa will spiral and leave with her tears in tow. I don't think that Lisa's going to leave. She wants as much camera time as possible. I don't think she's going to leave. But let me see what you guys are saying in the poll. Hold on. Let me bring up the poll, and then we're going to bring up our callers. Guys, don't forget the callers do not represent the opinions of myself, the Kempire LLC, or our sponsors. And they're calling in of their own free will and agree not to be horrific. They agree not to use profanity or be mean. I'm just saying. Okay. And let me see what the poll is saying. The poll is saying, 52% of you say that you believe that Lisa Barlow will end and John will end up leaving the trip. 52% with almost 300 votes. But we look, how many of you are here? Hold on. We got almost 1,000 of you here. Vote in the poll, guys, if you haven't already. I won't know that you voted. For those that are watching in the bushes and don't want me to know that they're watching, keep watching. Right, live chat? Keep watching. Okay. All right. Was there anything else that I wanted to say in regards to this episode? No, Todd told John, either you guys figure it out and stop the fighting and the arguing or leave. So John gets up, doom, and goes to Lisa to tell her, but we don't see Lisa. We only see Lisa kind of go, huh? So we shall see next week. We shall see next week. Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio podcast. As always, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And for everything Kempire Radio, head on over to kempireradio.com.